I think you just need to just relax and enjoy the just enjoy the little thing. I think what it is. I think you kind of gotta call it learn to not learn experience life from different views. That's
Okay.
what I think it is.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So I was looking at doing something like that. So on my page, I have a few kind of just like topic things I went over. 10-minute video type of things. But I was like, I want to do something where I'm actually talking to people. So that's where I'm trying to head mine to go to as well.
All right, let me ask you this: give me one of your topics.
So let's see. I've talked about like stress, like stress management or time management. A lot of people just don't have time to do anything. So just some tools, to use when looking at getting more. I wouldn't even say getting more done, but getting what's important done. Because a lot of people put all this stuff on their plate, and it's like, well, you really only need to do 4 things, but you
Right.
got 20. You got 20, but you don't even know the 4 you really need to do.
Yeah, I can see that. 'Cause I feel like with me, I think my biggest downfall is even at my wonderful young age of 26, I always still think that procrastination be killing me. Procrastination kills me to this day, and I don't even have like schoolwork. I got like podcasts and stuff to do. I'll procrastinate. Well, not that because I got bad. I used to say, "No, don't get me started on schoolwork, man." I remember back in college, the assignment would be like, "Oh, you got a week to do the assignment, and it's due at 11:59 p.m." Guess when I start the assignment?
Yeah, yeah.
7 p.m. A couple hours before the assignment's due, just to be like, "Damn, I need more time." Then what I'll do, I'll scribble. I'll throw as much random stuff on that paper, and just as soon as it says 11:58, submit it. I don't care if it's done or not.
Man, I got you beat. I had a report due in college one time. I forgot to do it, and we had to give a speech in class about it. So I made it up on the spot. And the lady was like, "That was really good." She was like, "I didn't know all that stuff." And I was all, "Thank you." She's like, "Where'd you write it?" I was like, "I did. I just thought about it. I think I got like a C." I was happy. I was like, "I ain't get an F."
Oh, right. Well, of course not. I'm about to say, you come about to say, C's get degrees.
She was like, "You made that up?" I was like, "Yes."
Yes. On the stop of a dime, look what I created. Well,
Yep.
one thing I did want to ask you was, when it comes to something you brought up earlier about the stress management, how do you deal with stress?
I think one of the best tools ever is physical activity.
Physical
I-
activity.
So I actually I try to work out every day. So if it's weight training, cardio, or I taking a walk. So one of the things I learned years ago was like when you work out, all the endorphins leave, get in your body, and you feel more at ease and at peace, and things like that. So I try to make sure I do something on purpose every day. Because people are like, "Well, I walk for my job." It's like, yeah, but that's for your job. If you had a job where you were sitting down, you probably wouldn't walk.
Correct.
So I try to do. I mean, it could be as simple as like, I'm just gonna do 100 push-ups today.
Jesus.
Just, you know, depending on how you feel, you do them all at one time or you do them in tens.
Yeah, I can shit. I've been trying to do 35 push-ups. I started at 10, 15, 20, and I'm up to 35 right now a night.
Yeah.
On Sunday night, I go to 40.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to progressively get to 100 in one
so
go.
I actually had a program that I saw, it was years ago, and what it was you do, you do, the first day you do like 40 push-ups or something like that, and then all you do is add one every day. So the next day it's 41, 42, but then when you get to like the weekend, so let's say you start on a Monday, it's 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, but then on the next Monday you would jump up to 50, and then it's 50, 51, 52, 53. So you just add one, like you add one every day. and then by the time you know, you just add one. So you're not, you're not killing yourself. You're just like, I just gotta do one more than I did yesterday.
Man, that's a big jump from just to 40. So a lot of people can't even do 10 push-ups.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't do like just do 40. You would do like 10, or how, or the idea is do as many as you can at that time, and then you just add one the next day. So you're not trying to like kill yourself. You're like, okay, over the next 30 days, if I add one, by the end of the month, I'll be at 50 push-ups.
Right. Okay, I see what you mean. 'Cause I was sitting there thinking, 40 push-ups. I said, dang. You see, y'all here trying to kill somebody. Y'all end up people not be able to get back up.
Hey, man, it's a challenge. Challenge yourself. You can do burpees. Burpees. Everybody loves burpees.
Almost threw my pencil at you. Nobody like burpees, but I don't like bear crawls though. Bear crawls, that's for the birds. Bear crawls are for the birds.
They're pretty good though. They get your body moving and moving in functional directions.
Functional direction, but I wanted to hit you with a wild one. I said, tell me something, man. I've been looking at your resume as I've done jot down little bulletin points and stuff. I want to ask you, how important is it to be in shape for self-defense?
I would say it's important, but I don't, you don't have to be, tip top shape to do it, but you need to be able to, be physically fit enough to, if you get into a physical altercation, you want to be able to handle yourself a little bit, you don't want to just you get tossed around like a rag doll, so to speak. So, you really want to be able to be conditioned in a sense, because let's say something happens and you got to get away. How far can you run? If you ain't in shape, you might not make it that far.
I don't know, man. Shoot, that fight flight mode might kick in, man. You might be able to go a good distance.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, the story my dad told me, he was growing up, and he was, growing up, he grew up in like the streets and stuff. He was doing, people growing up back in the day, and he has a scar across his chest, and he said the guy had a shotgun, boom, and it went off when it hit him, so it just went across. He said, man, next thing I know, I was at home. He's like, I done ran miles. He was just
booking. Hey, man, I'm happy he got away, man. Away.
But yeah, your conditioning needs to be up, because you want to be able to at least hold somebody off for a little while. I don't know if you ever seen like a real, like you see a fight, kids fighting in schools or whatever like that, but they don't really last that long.
No. Fights don't like that good.
Minute, 2 minutes, and it's usually over because somebody don't fail, or they just got winded, or now considering if it's a one-on-one,
Oh, like a mob or something.
Yeah,
a couple
like
people jump in.
Yeah, you see two people fighting, you probably got a minute or two before somebody else can just go over there and push them both over. So
right.
my goal is to be able to last at least 5 to 10. So even if I lose, you knew you was in a fight with me. Right.
I was about to say, you can get away scathe-free, man. You ain't gonna be no 1-2 hit. You're gonna feel me in the morning.
Yeah, you be like, hey, I won, but it was barely.
barely. But I wanted to ask you, what really got you into doing self-defense?
Man, actually, what happened was I used to work out a lot. Growing up, played football and sports, so you probably see the guys, they go to the gym, it's just the standard bench press, squat, back pulls and stuff. And, I got to the point to where I think I was in my late 20s, and I was in the gym, and I was using 100-pound dumbbells for chest. And I'm sitting there, and I thought about it. I said, man, been lifting like this for a long time, and I was like, I don't have a reason to be lifting this heavy, because in order for me to feel like I was working out, I had to do a lot of weight. And I really thought about it. I said, my body ain't gonna be able to keep up with this, because I can only go heavier. So I decided that I wanted to find something else out to do to stay essentially, physically fit for life. Like, I just wanted to be able to go through life and be able to just do things that I needed to do. And so I started getting into more like body weight exercises and things like that. And then I was watching some UFC fights one day, and I was like, that looks fun. So I found a gym that did Jiu Jitsu, mixed martial arts and things, started doing that. And I think the first day I went in, it was a week free. I went in the first day, and they was like, what'd you think? I was like, sign me up.
You was ready.
He was like, yeah, well, you can get on. I was like, I'm going to come all week, but just go ahead and sign me up, because I'm going to come, this is what I'm going to start doing. know? And then, so that just started my training, but the self-defense started because...
Quick question before you go.
Oh, yeah.
What really got you, was it what you thought it was going to be when you went to Jiu Jitsu?
I wasn't sure, but from watching like the fight on TV, it was a challenge. So that was really the thing. I was like, oh, that looks hard. That looks hard. I want to, learn that kind of stuff. And then once I started doing it, like jiu-jitsu is like physical chess in a sense, because let's say if we are the same belt level and we should know the same moves. So if I go for an arm bar on you, you know how to defend the arm bar. So my goal is to still get the arm bar, but somehow trick you into giving it to me.
Right.
So let's say if I want to get a submission on you, I may have to think 4 steps ahead in order to get it. So I say, well, if I do this, he'll do that, and then I'll do this, he'll do that, and then if I do that, he'll do this, and that's when I'll do it.
Okay, right.
So now, you're thinking like you have like a mental game plan. So that's what really kept me going, is because it's you go and train, and every time you do it, it's different, because let's say you train with 5 different people. Well, they all do something different. So now you got to kind of think on the fly. It helps with like problem solving. It's like, well, I want to do this, but he keeps stopping it. So then you kind of think, well, how does he stop it? Oh, he stops it this way, which means, I can do this to get around that.
Right.
And then,
Okay. No, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, because my friend does it. He told me he do jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. He won like a title. He won like a belt or something from it. And I was thinking like, dang, but then again, he be talking about he be working out and stuff. I be like, good Lord. We feel like it's a lot of work. But the thing about it is though, a question, do someone need to learn jiu-jitsu to have self-defense?
Oh, no. So when I teach self-defense workshops, it's very gross motor skills, like big movements, things we learn in jiu-jitsu. Like I tell people all the time, we go to jiu-jitsu, we might learn 3 moves, and that's all we're doing for a whole hour, which wouldn't be practical for like somebody coming to take self-defense, So, your punches and kicks. So it'll include techniques from, various kind of disciplines, So it wouldn't be just like, just take jiu-jitsu and you're fine. I like parts of jiu-jitsu because it's ground fighting. So I show a handful of techniques there, because I said, if you ever look at a lot of fights, a lot of them do end up on the ground. Even though you don't want to be there, it's good to know so you don't panic. So like, somebody slam me on the ground, I know I can get up. Laws of physics, if the guy's 400 pounds, it might be difficult, but if we're about the same size, we fall down, I know I can get back up, because of certain techniques. Unless they train too, then it might be a struggle. But most people, I don't think, I would be amazed if somebody said, 45% of bad guys train fight sports too. It's like,
Oh, all right, brother. Yeah, usually. But I want to ask you this though, or like, well, I guess more like a life question. Why do you believe people are scared to get the butt whoops nowadays?
um, that's a good one. I think it's, you know, probably shame, embarrassment. Oh, I got beat up. But at the same time, I'm just like, you did it, you lost, so what? You know.
Right.
But I look at it. I guess it all depends. Various reasons, because you have people that, well, just get a gun and you'll be fine. Like, well, but you don't need a gun for every situation. You might just need a couple fists.
Hit with a combo.
Yeah, and to your point, is I don't know why people are scared to take the fade.
Right.
I mean, we grew up and we got in fights and stuff, and to be honest, there's a lot of us, we still cool. Are we cool now?
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good question. Is why I think it's just people don't want to be seen as a loser. So it's like, I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to win, or I'm just gonna avoid it altogether, which is really the best way. But I think it probably goes deeper than that. It's just people don't want to have that shame or be seen as weak, so they try to do whatever they need to do to win, which grab a weapon, hit them with a car or something.
Oh yeah, I see a couple of them videos. People really get the car and really whack them with it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too is mental as well, being able to control your emotional response to things. Because everything don't need to be a fight.
True.
So if somebody says something to you don't like, keep moving. Don't grab a bottle and hit them across the head because your feelings got hurt.
I can understand that, but I think I do with pride and ego, especially. But I say if you really think about it, I mean, a lot of things that happen, I think a lot of people could have let it roll off their back. But instead, like you said, they get mad, they want to altercate, and all of a sudden they start getting guns involved, and they're thinking, what's wrong? Even in the movie Friday, they tried to talk about it. They just tried to say, put the gun away. This is all you need. And they try to make a point about it, but folks, I feel like it got worse. I feel like folks really out here still trying to use guns. I'm thinking that's not solving anything. I mean, you took a whole person, but I also think it's from a lack of people understanding of how, I want to say, precious a life is. I mean, a lot of people just don't have like a regard for human life really nowadays. Like folks really just don't care.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I think people don't. There are people who don't have the necessary tools to handle, to your point, like life. Like things get hard. That don't mean you go hurt somebody. You got to figure it out. Like I said, with martial arts and all, a lot of people that train, they're you might see those guys in the ring doing all kind of stuff, but a lot of those guys outside of there, they're the nicest people you're gonna meet because they don't want to fight.
they just happen to be good enough to make money from it.
Yeah, they can, but it's like, you out somewhere and somebody bumped you, you're gonna be like, all right, cool, I'm cool, because I don't have nothing to prove. I know I can handle myself, but I ain't trying to get no altercation, and then as police might get involved, and then this happened. It's like all the trickle down effect that a lot of people don't really think about. They just run off of emotions.
True, but the one thing is I want to ask you is when it comes to like having emotions that like, do you believe that the emotions of a man are now finally getting recognized as something that's like important? Because back in the day, I don't think man emotion were like care. I think you're supposed to be like, you ain't supposed to have emotion. You're supposed to just do X, Y, and Z, and that's it. But a lot of men run out here like don't know how to express themselves. So I think like a lot of it has like emotions built up over time, and I think that's why people are so quick to like go like that.
Yeah, I guess it's being talked about more, and that's good because again I said, a lot of people, I don't think were given the tools to be able to handle stuff, you know. So, you know, you don't get what you want. That don't mean you act up. You know, growing up, I remember my parents would tell me, like, you got to know the difference between your needs and your wants. So now you see a lot of people getting mad because they ain't getting what they want. You know, and what's the saying? Most people will, what is it? They'll spend for everything that they want, but then they beg for everything that they need. You know, so you get the Jordans, you get, you know, you get the car you want, but you got to pay your rent. Now you're asking people to pay your rent because your priorities aren't really in place the right way. So I think that you know, things like that, just understanding how life works. If you don't really get the education, then when life gets hard, you don't know how to maneuver and problem solve in a good way to make the best decisions, because you know you might be somebody that operates on wants, like I just want to pay this bill, I got to do what I got to do, and it's like you got decisions. So
that led up to this point.
Yeah. So
yeah, I want to ask you, I say even going into like coaching, well, what would be something that you would recommend? What would be like a strategy you would use to talk to somebody about like managing? I mean, even we talk about just time management and stuff like that. I mean, what would be some, what would you say, some exercise or something you would use to someone that's like not really spending their time wisely, or even just not spending their money wisely? I mean, something even from based off your personal experience about spending money. I mean, like what should people start doing?
I think first thing is assessment. You know, let's say finances, for instance. You know, I think a lot of things is it's going to be hard, but you know, you go and you say maybe print out the last 3 months of your bank account. And then you just look at what everything going, and then you say, okay, well, you know, I paid rent or mortgage, I paid these bills that I needed to pay, you know, and then you started going, okay, what was needed and what was wanted. So you go down and you look and just see, you know, oh, I wasted a lot of money because I went to eat 4 times a week every week. Maybe I need to cook. Maybe I need to cook at home, or maybe the what is those meal services? You know, maybe I'll do the meal service instead. Or you know, I know people that buy, and nothing wrong with it if you can afford it, but you know, people that buy shoes all the time, or you know, what else people collect? Shoes, I guess watches. I know people that
Guns.
do watches. Yeah, and it's like, but you complaining about money. It's like, well, maybe you don't need to buy one every month. Maybe every other month.
Priorities.
Yeah. So, and then you know, and then you would go and you put the goal down. So it's like, what's your goal? Well, I want to save $10,000 in savings, but then you look and say, well, I'm spending $500 a month. I shouldn't be spending. Well, let me cut that thing out and put it towards saving. You know? Same thing with health. You know, I want to lose 30 pounds, but I can't stop eating all this junk food. Well, maybe I just do, you know, I give myself one day to eat kind of however I want, but every other day I'm eating salads and smoothies. You know, so, you know, you just have to take an assessment of where you are right now, and be real with yourself. You know, I think a lot of it has to go with acceptance. You know, a lot of people can't accept where they are because I feel like I should be somewhere else. But they won't take that accountability on themselves or responsibility, because you probably heard people, well, if so-and-so did this, then things would be better. Or if this happened, things would be better. It's never like what I could do to make it better.
I'm saying, I feel like it's so easy to blame it on somebody else and then blame it on yourself. I feel like everybody does that. I'm like, well, I guess I'm kind of bad at it. I guess I don't ever, but the thing about it is though with me, I don't ever blame someone else's faults as the reason why I'm not somewhere. Because I know a lot of life, I always see like, I told my mom, I told my friend last night about it. I was like, when you wake up every morning, you're in the same spot you went to sleep. Unless you went to a wild party, then that's different. But I mean, if you wake up, you see the same hands. Your same problem that you had last night, they're still there. So I mean, I feel like people just have to understand that you only really have one life. So I mean, I feel like people don't understand that, like, it's more about what you do with the time you have and do with what you need to do to get to where you need to be. Because I know it's easy. If I say it's easy to just, well, I'm gonna say something Tyler Creator said. I know this ain't the right thing to say. He says that a lot of people raw dog through life, and when he said that, it's the dead truth. Folks out here just living and don't care about nothing else.
Well, you know, I like to say that we were just sleepwalking. You just wake up. Most people, they don't have a goal. Like, you don't have a vision, and if you don't, then it actually makes life harder, because what are you waking up for? Like,
True.
You know, and if you don't have that goal in place, then you're not in control of your life, because you'll wake up and what's the first thing people do? They grab their phone. You know,
I'm bad about that.
They check their email. And for work, like, you know, people for work, oh, I got this email in. Now the whole day messed up because they looked at the email. Whereas, like, somebody else, you know, like for me, for instance, I wake up, I know I got emails, but I ain't checking it till 9 o'clock. I go to the gym, I work out, I do whatever, because I'm like, it's going to be there, you know, and then I do the things I want to do first. And then I look at the email, you know. If you don't have things you're working on, then somebody can call you or text you and change the whole direction of your day, because you wasn't doing nothing anyway. You know, you sit at home and they say, hey, you want to go do X, Y, Z? Then you go do that with them, but then you're thinking, oh, you know what? I could have cut the grass, but I didn't. Or I could have went to the gym, but I did. But you know, spent all this time doing, you know, something for other people, and you know, if you go, I know I want to get, you know, my health this way, my finances this way, maybe I want to read books, this, that, and the third. You start, you know, setting boundaries in your life. So everybody knows I go to the gym at 5:30 in the morning. And only a few people will call me, because typically they're going to the gym too, and we just account, you know, holding ourselves account. You up? Yep, I'm up too. You know.
I was about to say, yes, go.
I was gonna say, but you know, when you have those things in place, you know, I've had times when I was on my way to train Jiu Jitsu in the evening. They're like, "Oh, so and so is coming over." I'm like, "Well, I'm going to the gym," and they're like, "Oh, you know, I'm walking out the door." You know what I mean? Like, why you just now telling me? I'm like, I'm going to the gym. You know, if they hear when I get back, that's cool. And I try to tell people, like, you know, if y'all want me to do something, you can't tell me last minute. Because I'm doing what I already planned on doing. So. True.
But the question is, how were you able to get rid of some of your bad habits?
Just fed up, really.
What were some of them? And then tell me what you did over time. Kyle, I'm pretty sure some bad habit you can't just get rid of in 2 seconds. I think some of it is like an over time thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, at one point, just eating. Like, I was eating like whatever. I was going to the gym still, but I was just eating. And I really didn't understand, like, nutrition. So I actually ended up getting my personal trainer certification and nutrition certification to understand that stuff better. And then it was
hard?
To get them? I'm gonna say no, but but the way my brain works is, I said I was gonna get it, and then it became easier. So, and then I kind of understood how I work. So I was like, I need to be able to study a certain way where I'm constantly doing it, So kind of like when I was in school, I never really studied for tests, but I always did my homework every day, and paid attention. Like I paid attention to it every day, so that how people. Well, I was up all night studying. I never really did that. Studying was kind of like, okay, there's 4 things I don't really remember good. Let me just look at those things because I understood everything else kind of in context. So when it came time to do those things, I already been like working out for a long time, so I understood a lot of stuff. So then it was just a matter of understanding a little bit that I didn't know. So that's why I say it wasn't really hard, because I was kind of already into it unofficially.
Good study habits.
Yeah, and then just learning that, and then it was like, oh, I just changed the way I eat a little bit, and then boom, things just started changing. Or with Jiu Jitsu, for instance, muscles. If you're ever working out, and you feel a lactic acid build up, where it gets real, like the muscles are burning and you can't grip stuff. And a guy told me, he was like, hey man, you do too much dairy. And he told me, because dairy has lactose in it, and if you're drinking dairy or eating dairy, it makes your muscles burn out quick. And I was like, that makes sense. So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so I just cut out dairy. And then I was like, there we go. So,
There we go.
Yeah. Excuse me.
You're fine.
So, so that kind of habit. The other one was like working out every day. I used to didn't work out every day. It used to be like 3 days a week, 4 days, and then I started a program where I worked out every day, and it rotated between something heavy like maybe weightlifting 3 to 4 days a week, and the rest is just cardio. And once I did that, I was like, oh, this is what I need to do, because I started reading things about, you got these people that live to be 100, and it's like, well, what do they do? And it's not that they work out every day, they're just active every day. So, you're walking, maybe you're running, but just like doing on purpose exercise. You see the old people that are cutting their own grass and gardening, they're just staying active. So I make a point to do that on purpose on a daily basis. And again, I don't try to kill myself. It's just that I want to get through life, and it don't beat me up. You see some people, they get home, they're just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I was like, I don't ever want to feel like that. Just because it's Tuesday.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, one thing is, why do you believe that people don't take care of their bodies like they should? I feel like it's like, when I'm working on not saying like so much. So give me a second. I got to figure out what I want to say. Why do you believe that, okay, when people see that their bodies are changing and they're not on the best type of diet and they keep doing it, the ultimate I'm asking you, why do you believe that people aren't as, aren't as attentive of their body?
I will have to agree. I was reading some book, and it was really about it was like a psychology book, and talking about relationships and things, relationship with yourself. And I think that I agree with it when it was saying that the reason there's like a deep-rooted kind of feeling of like I don't value myself type of thing. And I believe that because once I was talking about acceptance earlier, once I started thinking about it before, I was like, that makes sense. I don't feel, in somewhere I didn't feel like I was worth doing it, for myself, and I think that's really one of the underlying reasons. Now it might come through other things as well. Maybe some things happened when you were growing up, or this, that, and third. But I think it eventually falls down to you didn't value yourself enough to try to, put yourself in the best possible health that you could.
I can see that, because like we said before, I mean, you got to be able to be like, oh, I got to cut this out. I gotta be able to think a certain way. I gotta be able to put myself first. But also, I feel like you said, it's more of a acceptance thing that people, I believe, trick their mind, trick themselves into being like, oh, I did X, Y, and Z today, so I'm able to have this junk food today because I did that. Instead of being, okay, I did this, what else can I do more to help boost myself? Maybe
Right.
eating something healthy, or maybe going on a walk or something like that. I mean, it seems like it's something that's always can be done. I just feel that it's possible to do it if you just keep going in a positive direction. Because, like we said
Yeah.
before, it's easy going to bad habits.
I mean, and this question for you too. Like, you know, what I noticed over the years is I think a lot of people have this one concept of what health is. It's like, oh well, you got to be 2% body fat and be able to bench 500 pounds. And I know, that you know, there are different ways to be, I guess, in better health. You know, some people, you know, you got your bodybuilders, but then you got the people that like to cycle. They just ride their bikes all the time. And I think that's one of the problems is a lot of people, I think, too, also think that there's only one way to be healthy. Or like, well, I got to look like that. And then they don't feel like doing that, but don't understand that, hey, there's another way you can do it. You know, and there's people I know that don't work out that much at all, but their diets are like spot on. You know, and, you know, vice versa. I seen a guy said, I work out the way I do so I can eat whatever I want. So, but, you know, this guy, he's in the gym 4 hours a day. So,
Good Lord.
you know, so, you know, it's a difference.
There is a difference. There is a difference. The question is, what was the question you wanted to ask me?
Well, you know, when it comes to your physical fitness and all that, or do you have an idea of like what you want it to look like, or are you struggling with like how you think it should look?
Well, in my mind of how I believe life works, which doesn't make sense majority of the time, I'm thinking that as long as I'm able to like go on my walks, don't eat a bunch of junk food out, I'm 90% of the time I eat at home. Like all my food is from the house. Like I'll get something from the meat market or something, and then I would cook it at home. If I got to, I'll freeze it. But if something's on the sale, I'll go get it and then I'll cook it over time. But usually I only eat 2 meals a day. Usually one in the morning, one in the evening, and then normally I may eat like a little snack or something in between. But past that, that's really it. And I go on my walk every morning. I go on a walk this morning, but every morning I try to go on the walk and I put a jacket on, I put sweatpants on, get the whole sweat thing going, and I just go on a walk.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You know, a lot of people will not do anything because they think you got to do twice, 2 and 3 times what you try and do. And you know, me and one of my buddies, we try to walk every day. We call them my old man walks. You know, we're not 40. So you're like, yeah, I'm about to go on my old man walk.
At least you're active though. At least you're still able to keep moving.
Yeah. So.
All right. I wanted to ask you. Whenever you were, well, one thing I want to ask you about was it was a survey you made me do. I want to ask you about it. It was about the DISC.
Yep. Disc assessment.
Yes, I want to ask you something. So whenever you were reading my chart, tell me something. Cause I know, cause main reason why I did the chart, because one, you sent it to me, and two, I wanted people to understand like something that they could learn about themselves and then improve on. Cause a lot of people, they believe they're good, they're right all the time until someone proves them wrong.
Right. And I think that's the problem with. I think that's the problem with a lot of people. You know, you got to be able to be corrected. You know, especially when I guess that the word acceptance comes up again. Like you got to go, hey, I'm not getting what I want. I need to figure something else out. I need to go talk to somebody or have them give me some feedback. And the assessment really is, you know, if you look on part of it, it'll tell you kind of the areas where you need improvement. And, you know, I know when I read mine, I was like, yeah, people told me that before. And so at this point, you can't say somebody trying to upset you and make you mad because you took the assessment on your own.
Mm-hmm.
It's the results are based off of what you put in it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a way to kind of put it in your face, like these are the areas that I need to work on, because a lot of people have blind spots, so they don't see where they may need additional help. And I know we talked about it before, and like the organization and systems being in place was one of the things that showed up on yours. And you know, some people will say, if somebody comes like, man, you just unorganized, you don't know what you're doing, and then they get mad instead of saying, yeah, you're right, I am unorganized.
I am unorganized. I was about to say, I'm quick to admit my flaws. I'm completely disorganized.
But a lot of people will go and they want to be right, and can't nobody tell them nothing. So it really helps with building self-awareness. And there's other tools out there, but this one is really a behavior tool, because people tend to behave and communicate certain ways. You know, this isn't like the Myers-Briggs. That's personality type stuff, and this is just like behaviors. Like if you're sitting out people watching, you can say, you know what, I think that person is a D, or this person is a C, just by seeing them in the world, you know. And it's a really good starting point, because it gives you something to build off of. Because, you know, if I'm coaching somebody, I go, okay, these are the areas that we need to work on. We're going to take these 2 bullets here, and we're going to work on that for this week. You know, what is, oh, you have bad communications like this, so next time it comes up, keep it in mind so you can adjust that situation to yourself, you know. And you know, it's something that teams use as well, because you have a company and people got to interact, and it's different people. So now they can say, oh, well, I know why John acts like this now. It's not that he's a mean person. He's just very, very direct. He's going to say what needs to be said in the shortest amount of words possible, and it might hurt my feelings. And then John can be like, oh, now I know why people think I'm a jerk, so maybe I need to not be as direct. You know, so you start making the adjustments to improve the communication skills.
True. I want to ask you, when I looked at it, I have a high D and high I, a low S, and a medium C, and I believe the S was the organization. I believe what S was, right?
Yeah, S is like systems, systems in place, safety, security. You know, they don't like change as much. So I'm pulling yours up now. So your S is low, which is why your I and D is high. Because you can deal with change in fast-paced environments. Would that be an accurate statement?
Yeah, usually I don't like the whole robust stuff. I don't even like common day-to-day living of just waking up, going to work, coming home, watching TV, and going to bed. I don't even like that.
Yeah, so just from looking at the bar graph, I can see that. So you need an environment where it's a hustle and bustle. You know, you probably do good on the stock exchange. You know, it's like, oh, let's go ahead and go to work.
You go ahead, do what I need to do. Go.
Yeah. So, and you see the gray bars are your adaptive style, but it all still they're still all kind of where they are in your natural. So you still do similar what you always do. It's just you know, it could be a situation where maybe you're not as sure as yourself, but you're still ready to go. You know?
See what you mean? What did you, when you took this test, did anything surprise you?
I think what surprised me was the fact that the results made sense. Because I always, I was working in certain positions, and I always had this feeling like, man, it's a good job, but I was like, it's just something ain't right about it, you know. And so my D and my C are real high, which, if you look at some of the classic styles and results of these, a high D and a high C is really like an engineering analyst type of position. And I was like, that's what I wanted to be, So everything started making sense more. My S and I aren't as high, really, but I can deal with systems because I need them for work type of thing. Like I need some things in place, but once I get them, I can just go. But if it's like, you know, we need to do something, well, I need a starting spot.
True.
You know, but if you don't give me a starting spot, then it's like, well, you're gonna get what you get, but you can't complain.
True.
So,
True.
but-
True. But
but yep.
were you able to make the change to doing something more?
Yeah, so understanding that, it was easier, not easier, but it was easier in the fact that, okay, I know what type of position I'm looking for now. So when I'm talking to interviewers, I got better questions to ask, like, okay, tell me about the culture of this position, this company. Like, what is it really like? Or, because, if you go to, what is it, page,
Was it 19?
no, not 19, it is page 13 and 14. So like 14 is for being more motivated. So now I can go in and be like, yours is, direct answers to questions, forefront and bottom. You could say something like, well, how well does the team communicate with each other?
That's a good question.
Because now you can they say, why? I'm like, because I'm a direct person. So, am I going to get direct answers? No. So now you can look at this and kind of improve your interviewing.
Correct.
Yeah, because you know what you want. Yeah. Well, no, I knew I wanted to be one when I was a kid. I told my parents I wanted to be an engineer. I used to take stuff apart and put it back together when I was in elementary, middle school, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes there was a little fire, but I said I'm gonna be an engineer because my mind worked that way all those years. And it's weird because we didn't have a computer until I was in high school, so I never even really got into computers until I went to college. So, I'm older, so, you got to think, back then computers were kind of expensive. And, well, technology changed so much, everybody look. I was at an engineering banquet one time, and we were talking to some of the younger people, and they've had iPhones, iPads, laptops, all that their whole life, and we're like, these things only came out 20 years ago. It was like our whole first half of our lives didn't include this. So, when people say, well, why didn't you just do this when you was younger? It's like, you do know YouTube wasn't around all the time, right? So it's like, Facebook, people are like, oh, you could have, I was like, Facebook is still new. Facebook, I've only used Facebook for less than half my life. So I lived 20 years without none of this stuff. So it ain't hard not to use it, if that makes sense. Like, well, that's I'm gonna say that's one of the intended effects of social media, but people will say they never thought of it. But it's like the algorithms, the way they did it, that conditions people's mind to have short attention spans. If you got something that's 2 minutes, people are, I ain't watching that whole thing. It's 2 minutes long. They want 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and that's it. If you can't get them in 30 seconds, they'll click to the next one. Which has a negative effect, I guess, in real life too, because now you got people going to work. They can't, sit there for too long because, you see people at dinner, right? They're at dinner like everybody at the table. So it's like people can't sit and do nothing. And I can Like I can sit and do. I've told people like, hey, "What'd you do this week?" I was like, "I haven't watched TV at all, and I missed 3 birthdays because I hadn't been on Facebook." You know? So the greatest accomplishment is, I think, just to be honest, is like knowing I'm not anywhere near where I want to be, but I'm willing to like work towards it. You know, because somebody said something to me a while back, years ago. They were like, you know, you have kids and things, and they said, how people want their kids to be a certain way, and they said, "Are you the type of person you want your kid to be?" And I was like, "Oh, that's a good question." And I thought about it, and I was like, "No, I won't." You know, not in a bad way, but I was like, "No, I don't want them to be like this. I want them to be better than what I am." You know, so I'm trying to teach her like the things I wish I had to know, because I have conversations with my parents. I'm like, "Why y'all didn't teach me this?" And they were like, "Well, we didn't know." And I know that. And I think a lot of people sometimes hold things against their parents, and sometimes their parents were just doing the best they knew. You know, it might have been completely wrong, but that's all they knew. And I think you got to get around that and be able to accept where it is, and then make those changes that you need to make.
Just 9 minutes.
Okay. Oh,
Look what time it is.
okay. We almost finished. I'm trying to do it in a way for them to be able to operate in the world that's here. So, not how I want to do it, but like, okay, what's going on? Like, okay, think AI is coming. Okay, I need to get you prepared for a life with AI. Things like that. So, I'm looking at like what's going to be needed and try to put those things into her to be able to operate in that kind of environment. Problem solving. I like the problem solving. The harder the challenge, the better, because then I'm like, oh, you can't figure this out. Oh, I'm gonna figure it out. Yeah, I'm gonna figure it out. It might take me a day or two or a week, but the answer coming. It's kind of tough, but I think it depends on your lane. Like we did math, we did coding, we did all this, but in the work world, a lot of times we don't. It just depends on your actual discipline. Like if you are a programmer, it's still not a lot of math, because the program can do the math. You just got to plug the right numbers in. It's only as smart as the person using it. You know, if you put all the wrong numbers in, it's not going to give you what you want. But so you do have to understand what you need. But at the same time, it's more. I had a manager tell me, he's like, "Well, we look for engineering degrees because of critical thinking skills. Like you can process. A lot of I told somebody this before. I said a lot of times when I'm thinking about things, it seems like a lot of people are yelling in my head. And I took another assessment and said that I can system think, and I can system think at the same time. So I'm doing a lot with my head, and I couldn't make sense of it. And it made sense because I can sit here and just think about all the stuff, and somebody can ask me a question, depending on what it is. Like, at work one time, somebody was giving me a problem, and it was like, "We just can't figure it out, blah, 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 blah." And I was thinking, and they finished talking. I sat there for a second. I was like, "Well, did you do this?" And they was like, "No." And then they went, "Yep, that was it." I was like, "Okay." So I thought about, because I understood all the systems that were involved. And just by his question, I was like, "Oh, I know what that is." So, it's just the critical thinking piece, being able to process the information. Man, my plan for the next 5 years is to grow my businesses more with the self-defense and coaching, but, do it in a way where I can, affect a lot of people, change in their lives, and be able to, ultimately, I would like to be able to have a business that I can run with people, to do full time, so that, free up my time, do things. I don't want to be 80 talking about, "Yep, finally retired." but live. Somebody said it before. They were like, "Why do you got to wait till retire to live the life that you want? What can you do now to kind of do that?" So, working from home or starting your own business. Like, yeah, I wouldn't have to retire. If I set up my stuff in such a way that I can still do the things I want to do, then I don't have to wait till I'm retired.